It's funny you mention actually William Regal because the very first WWE show I went to was probably your first show in Manchester as well. It was in 2004, and you won the tag titles from La Resistance on Raw.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in fact, do you actually remember what happened? Because you might as well say.
Yeah, they went to commercial, came back up, and I think the Bischoff reversed it or restarted the match in the commercial.
Yeah.
Because I think we came back up and we were still wrestling. And I felt like that was kind of like they had to do it for time, but I felt like that was kind of a weird thing. And by the reaction we got, it was the wrong swerve, I think.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, because the tag team, what harm would it have done? You know, a hometown hero, you're a big babyface, kids love him. What harm would it have done to just put the titles on you?
Well, they were trying to get heat on Bischoff because then he and I were going into the pay-per-view together. You know, but I think Bischoff already had heat. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he definitely had. Oh, man, yeah, everyone hated him. But going back to the match, though.
Instead of having us win, he just should have come out and did something to cause me to lose and not win at all.
Yeah, Regal, man, he was so popular. He was the most popular person. Do you remember when the punches happened? And I'd never heard that before. And the entire crowd's going, boo, yay, boo, yay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I think, and I love Regal, and I think his time with Eugene almost made him a little more human because you saw that struggle of him being, you know, stiff upper lip heel, and then all of a sudden he's starting to care for this character, and you saw him have, you know, passion and empathy for another human being, which he's always kind of been snooty.
Was it always the plan to make him a good guy by teaming with you, or was it just the audience pushed it that way?
I don't know. Like the reason Eugene really worked is because Brian Gerwick, the writer, could write for it. Brian Gerwick wrote a majority of the Rock stuff, and he saw a character. And this is what I tell guys when they're trying to get into WWE now. You can have a great character and great catchphrases and great body, but if a writer can't write for you, you're not going to make it on TV. And I was fortunate enough that Gerwick could really write for Eugene. He wrote a movie for Eugene.
What was the film?
And that was the movie the Big Show was in. Knucklehead was Eugene's movie, but he could write for me, and he wrote Regal in there as the big odd couple because Regal was coming back after that. He went to India and got parasite on his heart and had a long recovery from that, and that way he also didn't necessarily have to wrestle as he was coming back, and it would just work. Like he and I just clicked, much like he and Tajiri just had magic and their stuff. We just clicked like that, and it was like I don't know, I can't explain. I haven't really had that kind of connection with someone on TV with anybody else. It was just on.
So was he just because I'd love to, like, Regal's probably in my top 5 that I'd love to talk to, but obviously he's tied up with WWE. I doubt I'd ever get to talk to him unless he left. How cool a guy was he? Because I'd love to talk to him.
Yeah, we used to travel up the road together, and I stayed at his house. I would usually book the hotels, and when we first started riding, Tajiri would ride with us. And Tajiri never said a word. He might talk on the phone in Japanese, but then at the end of the night, he might say one thing, but it was always like a funny something. And I remember Regal, to mess with Tajiri, got a harmonica at a Cracker Barrel. And we'd drive and he'd pick it up and he'd play the harmonica. He didn't know how to play it, but he would just blow on it for a couple minutes and set it down. He'd let an hour go by and he'd do it again. So the next morning we get up and Tajiri, myself, were there, we're waiting on Regal. Tajiri grabs the harmonica and goes, "Hurt," and then sets it back. It was the funniest thing.
How much fun was it shaving Eric Bischoff's head?
Man, it sucked because you got to have hair clippers, and they gave me like beard trimmers, which never work because if it gets sweaty, it just and I'm ripping his hair out, and that's when I started cutting it. You know, when Vince got his head shaved, they had the good clippers, the ones that work, and they give me the goddamn ones that don't work.
Do you smell what the Rock is cooking?
Enough is enough. I had him writhing in pain from my sharpshooter.
Rocky!
I am not a nugget!
Stick him straight up your candy ass!
I kicked your leg out of your leg.
The Rock has come back!